Welcome back to the Barrel Zone. Happy Monday. We have a nice little MLB and an NBA card that has a few great games on it. So I think it's today and tomorrow will be awesome. I already looked at the games of tomorrow. I think these are two pretty solid slates, mostly headlined by good baseball, but we will find a few interesting MLB games. We will break down all the games as usual. If you have any comment or feedback, you know where to find me at the Barrel Zone on Twitter. If you want to tell my plays, you can go to patreon.com/the Barrel Zone and join the Discord channel. Let's start it. We are starting with NBA as always. We have a few teams games between tanking teams, so I will just run through those quick and we will focus on the more interesting games further down the slate. So the first game, Cleveland at Detroit. Cleveland is a 2.5-point road favorite. That's a rare sight to see. Detroit was around 1.5-point favorite when this one opened, but they did rule out Ellington, Grant, Plumlee, multiple key backups. This will be a really, really voted up Detroit team that's not really good to start with, but missing Grant and Plumlee, I think that's kind of huge. Cleveland is without Nance, but besides him, everyone is in. I'm heavily leaning towards Cleveland here. Before I saw the reopening line, I wanted to play Cleveland here, to be honest. They have played, the core has only played like a few games together. This is the first time in the season while both Garland and Sexton and Love, Allen, Okoro all healthy. Obviously, Nance is out, but he was in for a few games. I think this is a way better team than Detroit right now, to be honest. In the last 2 weeks, they grade better on both sides of the ball. They are top 5 in offensive rebounding, while the Pistons are bottom 5 in defensive rebounding. Cleveland is a top 3 defense in the paint. I'm heavily leaning towards Cleveland here. My line would be around Cleveland -2. Obviously, no value with the 2.5, but this is a game I'm kind the injured list. So yeah, it's really difficult to cap a game where you have so many questionables on both sides. Obviously, Harris would move the line if he would be out, but Curry is the big name for the Golden State Warriors. He has played amazing lately, but he is playing through an injury. I think he will likely go here. He did go in the last game. That's the same injury. He has been playing through it, so I'm kind of just expecting Uber to sit or play, but Curry I think will play. My line here is around Philly -6.5 with everyone in on both sides. Current line 7.5. I think that's a bit too much. It's too much because I expect Steph Curry to play, and we don't really know how Seth or Harris his status will shape up through the day. Difficult to say anything, but I don't think you will find value on Philly here, and I wouldn't really back Golden State. This is a bad matchup for them. Philly is 8th in offensive rebounding. The Golden State Warriors are just 23rd in defensive rebounding. They're also the second worst team in giving up free throws, and Philly is drawing the most free throws in the entire league. We know the Sixers defense is super strong. They really just need to shut down Curry, and they will easily win the game. Leaning Philly, obviously, this is a good matchup for them, but with these questionables, I'm not going to get involved. Chicago at Boston, another game we are skipping. Obviously, Zach LaVine is out for likely 2 weeks for the Bulls. He has COVID, so he is actively actively out. And the Bulls also playing their third game in 4 nights. I think they are sitting on the 10th seed in the East, but we could see them entirely fall out of the play-in tournament. For the Celtics, Fournier, Williams out, Brown and Kemba questionable, Tatum probable. I have to know that we are at a point in the season when we will start seeing guys tagged as probable missing games. So even if someone is on the injury report with a probable tag, especially as it's a big name here like Tatum, I think you should follow that. I don't think he's locked to play. He likely plays, of course, but you don't want to lay 5.5 points with the Celtics with Brown and Kemba being questionable and Tatum not being at 100%, in my opinion. So I'm not really going to get involved here. I think this line is at 5.5. It's between 5.5 and 6, basically. That's fair. That's like Brown being half out, half in. My line would be like Boston minus 8 if everyone is in and fully healthy, but we are likely not going to see that. Obviously, Fournier and Williams are already out. I'm just staying away. Boston is not a team I'm really running to the window with, especially if I have to lay the points. And I think the talent level is really there for the Bulls. They just couldn't really put it together. So, just skip this game. Houston at Miami, Tampa, 9.5 point spread. Heat isn't a team you are going to lay 9.5 points with. They are just 24th offensively in points per possession scored. Covering 10 points for a team like that is a difficult task. And both teams here are playing their third game in 4 nights, also back-to-back for both squads. Rockets got a W last night, so they need to lose as they now only have the second worst record. They need to lose basically because Minnesota, I think, overtook them overnight for the worst record, and that's the goal for the Rockets, obviously, at this point. They are playing an 8-man roster, so the minimum roster size allowed by the NBA. That's what they had last night. A couple of really weird names on their roster. I'm not really going to get into this. Obviously, Rockets are tanking, Heat are trying, but they will just want the win and get out. They won't score like enough, in my opinion, to blow Houston out, and covering a 10-point spread is a tough ask for a team that doesn't really have a good offense. OKC at Washington, 10.5 is the spread. You are not laying 10.5 points with the Wizards. These two teams are heading in the perfectly different directions. OKC is tanking. They are ruling guys out. They are really doing everything to lose games. While the Wizards are in on the borders of the play-in tournament, and they are playing hard and trying to get into the play-in tournament, which is a thing I think they can achieve, especially with the Bulls struggling without Lavine. But this is still not a good team and not a team you want to lay 10.5 points with. Actually, this is my biggest edge of the day on OKC. I would make this closer to like 8. But I'm not going to get involved with OKC. Obviously, they are the worst tanking team right now. They are doing everything to lose. But the next game is finally a good one. This is the one I was really waiting to break down. Phoenix Suns at the Milwaukee Bucks. 3-point spread. This is an interesting one. I'm looking at the Suns here. First, I'm going to bash them a little bit, and then I'm going to tell you why I'm backing them. So overall, the matchup I don't think is good for the Suns here. Their rebounding is bad. They are 22nd in offensive rebounding, while the Bucks are third in defensive rebounding. That's really a thing that Phoenix is almost always losing the rebounding battle. I think Aiton is super bad. He's super soft. I'm not liking the dude. Also, Suns are drawing the 24th most free throws in the league, while the Bucks are giving up the least defensively. That's another kind of red flag. But I think Milwaukee is simply not as good as they are priced right now. My line here would be Bucks -1 to 1.5 if they were fully healthy, and that's the big if. So Giannis, he missed 6 games with a knee issue. We saw the knee that it was really hurting him. He came back from the injury and played in 2 games, but he only played 24 and 29 minutes. This will be a 4-game week for the Bucks. They also have a back-to-back. I think they will keep his minutes low, maybe even sub 30. But I would probably think like 30 to 32 minutes max. That is to me not 100% Giannis, not 100% Milwaukee team. And I don't think they should be favored. I think they should be kind of a pick 'em with the Suns being 100% healthy, no back-to-backs in sight, fully rested, while the Bucks have a huge question mark with around Giannis. So yeah, I would make this like Milwaukee minus half a point probably. I think there is a nice edge with the Suns, especially that the Bucks aren't attacking the paint at the highest rate in the league. They are like league averages. That's where you can really hurt Phoenix, as Aiton is a bad player and they are a bad defense in the paint. But they are a decent 3-point defense. That's what basically Milwaukee is doing the most. They are putting up the 9th most threes in the league, 4th in field goal percentage. Phoenix is a top 5 defense, top five perimeter defense. So yeah, these two already met once, and the line was closing Phoenix +3. But in that game, both Payne and Saric were out for the Suns. Giannis played 38 minutes, scored 47 points, and they still lost. I don't think we will see that kind of a performance from Giannis tonight, especially with his minutes restrictions. And Suns are fully healthy. I think those guys that were out back in the day are a huge part of their success. And yeah, so I'm liking the Suns here at 3. I would take any 3. I would probably take even any 2.5, to be honest. San Antonio at Indiana. Another interesting game. Pacers are 1-point home dogs. I would make them 1.5-point home favorites, actually, if everyone is in. This isn't a game I get involved so far, and I'm not 100% sure I will be involved. Pacers are playing a back-to-back and also a third game in 4 nights. They did have to travel, but they played an early game yesterday. I think that's a kind of a thing that's not really factored in by many people. So going from an early game to a late game in a back-to-back situation is not that bad. Obviously, it's still bad, but it's not a full downgrade in my opinion. I don't downgrade teams as much when they are doing this back-to-back when compared to a regular back-to-back. So Turner was back. He was questionable coming into the game. He missed multiple games. He played 33 minutes last night. I want an update on his status before betting this game. I'm kind of thinking he will play. He moved good. I just looked into the game. I haven't got the time yet to watch it in its entirety, but he was moving good, looked okay, had nice stats overall. I'm liking Indiana more lately than the Spurs. The Spurs were just fine for tanking. Basically, they had no back-to-backs in sight, and they just kind of set most of the team out, and they still beat Phoenix outright as a huge dog. That's a different thing. They are just 3-7 in the last 10, not really heading into any direction. While the Pacers are kind of still in the hunt for that play-in spot, or at least they are trying. Overall, the matchup isn't good for the Pacers. They are attacking the rim at the second highest rate in the league, and the Spurs are a top 5 defense in the paint. They also have a rebounding advantage. And while the Pacers are overall not a terrible defense, this is mainly because of Turner. But they are below league average defense against mid-range shots, and that's what the Spurs are putting up. So I think overall the matchup is better for the Spurs. They are also fully healthy, fully rested. But I still really cannot make the Pacers home dogs here if Turner is in. So yeah, it's an interesting game. I will follow the injury news if everyone is in, and if we see like a 1.5, we are getting like 1.5 points. I would probably get involved with the Pacers if we get like 1.5 later today when the sharper books open up. At 1, I'm kind of leaning towards staying away, but there is line value on the Pacers, in my opinion. Memphis Grizzlies at the Denver Nuggets. 5 is the spread. 4.5 to 5, basically, was the line on Pinnacle before they pulled it. Now we get a 6.5 due to some injury news. So yeah, Nuggets are now without Morris also. So Murray is out for the season, obviously. Monte Morris also out now. So they have basically Campazzo as their starting point guard. I'm not sure how that will work out. I'm not seeing the guy like performing well when getting major minutes in a major role. I also said that I want to see Denver facing good teams without Murray and see how they adapt. And I haven't had the shot to do that yet. I mean, they just played like Houston in the last game. That's not something you take any info away from. As for Memphis, I think they're kind of banged up right now. Valanciunas will miss the game. That's huge in this matchup. That's a terrible injury to have right here. Clark, Brooks, Melton, Winslow, all questionable. I think Brooks is likely one that's going to play. It's just soreness for him. But with JV and Clark out, I think that's really bad in this matchup. Nuggets also coming in on extra rest. So I think this move to 6.5 is kind of warranted. I would make this 6. You won't get line value with Denver in this spot with Memphis being so banged up. I think these two teams are really similar. Strong offensive rebounding, both top 10 in mid-range shooting. I think the Memphis defense is the key here. They are grading just 27th in field goal percentage allowed against mid-range shots, which is huge. Their offense has been improving consistently. Memphis is in the top 5 in points per possession offensively for the last month, which is amazing for them, as this team was like outside of the top 20 for most of the season. But their defense isn't really good, and their defense was better before. So kind of they gained on one end and lost some rating on the other end, while the Nuggets are really rolling, and even the defense has been good lately. I'm leaning towards Denver here. I'm skipping this game entirely. I think there are too many injuries and question marks around both teams, but I really wouldn't go with Memphis here with this many injuries. Although one extra news, I have to note that JJJ got upgraded to doubtful for Memphis. He missed the entire season so far. His return date was supposed to be end of April. I think they are kind of keeping that, and he's on schedule. We won't see him tonight, but I think we might see him like in the next 10 days. Obviously, he will be on the minutes restrictions when coming back. Stuff like that. He will be a player for next year, but don't get your hopes high if you are a Memphis fan. But I think he's a guy to watch next year, obviously, if he can stay healthy. Final game of the slate, and we will skip this one. Utah Jazz at the LA Lakers. As I said, I'm not betting LA until AD or LeBron comes back. AD is now targeting... I think, later this week, he's supposed to come back on the 22nd of April. So in just 3 days, we will get Anthony Davis back. But he will be limited to 15 minutes per game first. So, yeah, he will be eased slowly back into the lineup. But the Lakers are now playing good defense and overall good basketball. The Jazz are without Donovan Mitchell. They have questionables in Favors and Ilyasova, and 2 probable attacks on Conley and Gobert. That's just too much for me to get involved. I would probably lean towards the Lakers here, I tell you that. And my line here is around 4.5. I think with the good defensive ball the Lakers have been playing recently, I really don't think the Jazz will push Favors or Ilyasova to play here. Conley still banged up. I think there are just too many guys missing, and the Lakers are playing pretty good basketball. All right, we will sum up the NBA slate. So as I said, not a lot of great spots, but we have a few good games. Cleveland is a side I really like to compare to this Detroit lineup, but both teams are tanking. I think 2.5 is fair. If this moves a bit towards the Pistons, I might get involved with Cleveland. I like their lineup way more than what Detroit can put out without their core guys playing, basically. Phoenix at 3, I think, is a must bet. Giannis isn't fully healthy. He will be limited to 30 minutes or less. Suns are now fully healthy, rolling. And why this isn't an amazing matchup, I think they shouldn't be 3-point dogs here, really. And I make the Pacers favorites, slight favorites, if Turner is in. I'm not in love with the matchup, but would definitely lean towards Indiana here if Turner is in. They are still trying. I'm not liking anything I see from San Antonio lately. But this is a game you should wait for the injury report and then decide if you want to get involved. If this gets to like Pacers +2, I would 100% get involved, maybe even at 1.5. One is just like a pass for me right now. All right, we are switching. All right, sorry. We are switching to MLB. This is a great slate. I think a way better slate overall than the NBA one. I will talk about all games. I have a few leans, quite a few spots I think that we can attack. And yeah, I really like when we only have like 6-7 games. I can like go more into detail. We don't have to run that much. First game, White Sox at the Red Sox. Lucas Giolito at Eovaldi. White Sox slight road favorites. I think you can kind of understand. Giolito has been amazing. As I said, he is my sleeper pick for Cy Young, and he has been nothing short of impressive so far. So he has a 38% K rate, 2.5 Sierra, 16% swinging strike rate, great exit velocities. Everything is looking amazing. I'm really liking the dude. This is a super early start, by the way. I have to note that. That's kind of interesting. I know there is some event going on there. For the Red Sox, Eovaldi, another guy I was kind of impressed by. His velocity is still super high where it was last year. 3.5 Sierra so far, 14% swinging strike rate. 65% ground ball rate, only 19% hard contact. I mean, really, I loaded the stats of both of these guys into my sheets, and it was really all green, everything in the top like 10% of the league. Really nothing I could attack here. So I think this 8 total is a bit too high, to be honest. I think this is the product of these two playing a doubleheader last night, but I looked at the games and the bullpen usage, and it really wasn't as taxing as doubleheaders usually are. So I think these bullpens both are in a pretty decent spot. They haven't had to pitch too many innings, and both teams had Saturday off, so they had a day off and a pretty light doubleheader. And if you look at bullpen stats, both of these bullpens are in the top 5 right now. They have a 3.2 xFIP or lower. Good bullpens, good starters. I don't think this should be really an 8 total. This would be 7.5 normally. Obviously, the doubleheader is what moved this a bit up. White Sox against righties, they have been known as the lefty killers for years. I mean, last year's lineup was pretty amazing against lefties, like a 140 plus WRC plus, but against righties they weren't really anything special. And this year, I mean, it's still a low sample size, but they are below league average against righties, just a 96 WRC plus with a 120 ISO. So not a lot of power so far. With Giolito missing so many bats, I think the under is really the good look here. If you look at the sides, I would make this closer to a pick 'em. So it's very slight value on the Red Sox, but I'm liking the under a bit more here. St. Louis at Washington, Flaherty at Joe Ross. This is a game where I'm praying for Nationals money. So yeah, Joe Ross, he was looking fine for a few games. If you just look at the surface stats, I think he has two starts so far. He pitched only 11 innings, and he hasn't given up an earned run so far. But the guy isn't really good, in my opinion. I'm not a believer. Many are a believer in the analytics community, but I'm not buying him. He has an 83% contact rate so far and only a 7% swinging strike rate. This guy isn't missing bats. He was just getting extremely lucky. So far, he has a 100% left on base rate, 0% home run to fly ball ratio, a 200 batting average on balls in play. It's just a two-start sample size, so it's nothing really you can take away from this, but I'm not liking the guy. Jack Flaherty on the other side, I never thought really too much of this guy. He has like a 4 East Sierra in 3 starts in 15 innings. Still missing bats, 12% swinging strike rate, only a 26% hard hit rate, low contact rate. He has his issues. Walks were kind of one of those. He has a 9.5% walk rate now. He isn't a great arm or anything like that, but he is a solid starting pitcher. What Joe Ross, in my opinion, isn't. And connecting to what I said about walks with Flaherty, the good thing for him that the Nationals aren't really walking. They didn't walk last season. They aren't walking this year either. And they don't really have any power. They have like 100 ISO against righties so far with a 72 WRC plus. With them not walking, I think this is really a nice matchup for Flaherty. I would need this to move towards the Nationals a bit, though. I think the Cardinals are kind of rightfully priced like they are. I'm praying for Nationals money, and I would bet the Cardinals 100%. This is a game I will track, and we will see how this goes. If this comes back to like minus 110, I would bet the Cardinals in a heartbeat. San Francisco at Philadelphia, Gaussman at Chase Anderson. I'm skipping this game. Chase Anderson has been really weird so far. I just looked into his games, and there are tons of red flags, but there are some nice things also. So he only has a 16% K rate, which is really bad on the surface, but he has a 12% swinging strike rate. That tells you that his K rate will go up. I think a 12% swinging strike rate is just way too high for him to have a 15% K rate. So we can expect positive regression there. But he's walking 13% of batters face so far. That's a bad thing. But if you look at the contact metrics, 50% ground ball rate, only 30% hard contact rate. He's missing some bats, forcing soft contact and grounders, only a 72% contact rate. But he got lucky with the balls in play, and the left on base rate at 85% is not something that he will be able to keep up with. So yeah, I'm skipping on him. I want to see him for a few more games to just get more data on him, as there are some red flags, but there are some nice things. On the other end, the Giants aren't really hitting this year so far. The offense isn't really clicking. Again, this is one of the teams that was good against lefties last season, but not good against righties, and we are seeing that again. They just have an 80 WRC plus with a 30% K rate against righties. So they are swinging like crazy against a guy that's missing some bats. And while I'm very, very low on Anderson, I think this maybe even could work out for him. As for Gaussman on the other side, there are some red flags in his profile also. He has a 50% fly ball rate, but only a 7% home run to fly ball ratio, which is way too low to sustain with such a high fly ball rate. He also got lucky with balls in play. I think overall his stats are nice. 24% K rate, 12% swinging strike rate, only 30% hard contact. I'm liking Gaussman. He's the best pitcher on the Giants by far. But Philly isn't a bad team. Some regression signs with Gaussman. I'm skipping this game, but I think this is an interesting one to break down. I want to see Anderson. I want to see how he performs against the Giants, who are like an average-ish team. And I want to see Gaussman. Philly, I don't think they are a bad offense. We will see how this works out for Gaussman. I think the high fly ball rate combined with the low fly ball to home run ratio is something that's kind of concerning. We will see how that plays out. Tampa Bay at KC. Really interesting game. This is one I'm really looking forward to watch and maybe to bet. I'm mainly looking the total here. You have to know that. So yeah, this game is in KC. Projection by game time is 42 Fahrenheit with a 15 mile per hour wind blowing in that center. In the last 3 days in this stadium, the runs total scored 6 runs, 5 runs, and 2 runs in the last 3 games of KC. They have been playing against Toronto. All the DFS meteorologist guys are saying this is a really, really bad hitting environment right now. And I'm kind of liking both pitchers here. So Fleming, we are starting with him. He had a 65% ground ball rate in his first start, only 18% hard hit rate, looked okay. Velocity was up 1 mile per hour on his fastball. Last season, he held a 63% ground ball rate through an entire season with only a 5% walk rate, 25% hard contact. He had a 3.7 Sierra. He has been outpitching his advanced run indicators for like 3 straight years. Obviously, if you have such an extremely high ground ball rate, you will likely outperform your like FIP. But he is not giving up hard contact. He's keeping the ball on the ground. Also, another info: he is from around the area in KC, and he will have 30 plus friends and family attending. So he's like returning home, big game. I don't like to go after narratives, but pitchers usually pitch really well in these circumstances, and the weather will really help him also. But I think the weather will help Duffy more. So Danny Duffy, he has been really good so far. 12 innings in 2 starts. He has a 4.3 Sierra, 22% K rate, 11% swinging strike rate. He has a 14% infield pop-up rate, just hard contact under 30%. I think he's looking really interesting. His velocity is up almost 2 miles per hour on his fastball. I'm really liking him. He's leaning towards more to the fly ball side of things, and the wind blowing in and the bad hitting conditions will really help him. So that is why we saw action on the under. So this one opened up on Pinnacle at 8.5. It was slightly juiced to the under when they pulled it. But this is now off the board, and the bookmaker is dealing an under 8 minus 120. I think that's kind of fair. That's where I would probably set this. So flat 7.5 to 8.5 juice to the under, to 8 juice to the under. I'm waiting for the Pinnacle reopen. If this is around 8.5 with any kind of juice that's like realistic, I will jump on that. But even if we get a better 8, I think the under is the play here. Currently these are two very similar teams. I think the line is realistic. I mean, Duffy is the more established starting pitcher. Obviously, Tampa Bay really has a bit higher ceiling, but this is a fair price from a side perspective. But I think the under is really, really interesting in this game, and I have really trouble seeing too many runs scored here, to be honest. Texas at the LA Angels, Arihara at Bundy. This will be a game we are skipping. Bundy, amazing so far. In 19 innings, he has a 3.3 Sierra, 14% swinging strike rate, only a 22% hard contact rate. Really looking great, rolling. The Angels are an okay team. Rangers aren't anything special. Arihara, he had like 3 starts also, only a 7% swinging strike rate, 7.4%. Hard hit rate over 40%, 84% contact rate. I don't see anything, sorry. I mean, I think LA will really easily win this. If you like have a parlay with another sport or something like that, I think Angels money line is the side. I make this minus 186, so no value from a numbers perspective, but I really have a tough time seeing Bundy and the Angels dropping this one. Milwaukee at San Diego, Woodruff at Musgrove. Really nice game. I like both arms. It's a difficult task to really choose one pitcher here. I'm liking both. Obviously, Musgrove is facing the easier matchup, but I'm trusting Woodruff a bit more. Milwaukee is still without Yelich. He is on the 10-day IL. That's a huge hit especially for a team that's not really hitting. Milwaukee's offense has been looking really bad so far. Total is a 7, juice to the under 6.5. Basically, we are not going to get involved with 6.5 totals in today's MLB. So yeah, Musgrove looking real good on the surface. 36% K rate, 14% swinging strike rate, 58% ground ball rate. Only walked 3% of bettors faced so far. 2.1 FIP or better against both sides. Fastball velocity slightly up. Some like red flags. Obviously, he really cannot do anything about these, but he has 100% left on base rate so far. He gave up 42% hard contact. That's a bit more than I would probably like. Betting average on balls in play against him 150. So yeah, Brewers against righties, they have never been really good. Obviously, as I said, Yelich out. They are striking out 25% of the time. Only 71 WRC plus, 120 ISO. This is a bad offense, missing one of their 3 best offensive players. But I see some red flags around Musgrove. I'm not 100% sure he will be this good through the season. Woodruff, on the other end, 2.1 ERA, 2.9 Sierra. He almost has a 30% K rate with a 4.6% walk rate, missing bats, tons of ground balls, good against both sides. He has been getting a bit lucky as well, but not as much as Musgrove. Really not many red flags. So yeah, I'm thinking Woodruff currently is probably the better pitcher. But I cannot really get involved. I would need a better price to get involved. My true price is Padres minus 133. They are a bit overpriced, but not enough value on the underdog here. But I would probably look at the Brewers or nothing here. Also, it's important to note that the Padres are coming off the series against the Dodgers. We've seen multiple long, grueling games. Bullpen has been really overused. So yeah, I think there is slight value on the Brewers right now, not enough, but that's the side I would look at. Final game, LA Dodgers at Seattle, May at Sheffield. Sheffield is an interesting guy. I could see myself betting him down the line when he's around this plus 200 dog at home. So he has a 4 Sierra so far, 9% swinging strike rate, 55% ground ball rate. Overall, underlying stats are a bit better than last year, but he's a risky start against LA, of course. This is not a start where you would throw him out, but against a weaker team, like if he's a home underdog to against Milwaukee or something like that, that's where I really want to get involved. May, coming off not so amazing start, but still he has a 2.6 Sierra, 30% plus K rate, missing bats, 58% ground ball rate, only a 26% hard hit rate, velocity still up. He got lucky with an 83% left on base rate, but I mean that's not super extreme early on. I think he's fine. He is likely going to roll here, but no value. So, summing it up, first game, I'm liking both arms in the White Sox-Red Sox derby. I think 8 is too high. We are already seeing under money coming in. I think this gets to a 7.5, probably even 7.5 juice to an under. I would want to back the Cardinals and fade Joe Ross, but the price isn't really good enough yet. I'm really hoping we will see some kind of Nationals money. At minus 110, I would definitely look at the Cardinals, but this is really a side I want to get involved with based on what I saw from Ross, and the market is really overrating this guy, in my opinion. Chase Anderson Gaussman game, really interesting, but too many questions on both sides. I really like the under in KC, even at 8. If you have an 8 that's better than minus 120, I would bet it right now. Otherwise, wait for the Pinnacle reopen. I'm 100% sure that we will get something better than 8 minus under 8 minus 120. There's the current line that's online and bettable on Bookmaker. And yeah, that's about it. Really not a lot of value, but quite a few interesting games. I like the two unders, as I said. It's fun to talk baseball when I don't have to run through 15 games and just hurry. So this is it for today. 40 minutes, awesome. I will try to keep it shorter always, but some interesting games today, so I don't mind the 40 minutes length. Thanks for tuning in. If you want to tell my plays, you can go to patreon.com/thebetterzone. I will be back tomorrow at the same time. And thanks for tuning in. Good luck with your